From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
There was a Pennsylvania Dutch festival on a hot day, and the man said, "It's time for a tsup party," and they would tsup themselves off from the sweat. Now you can sit down or stand up, but we'll sing a song. I gave my love a cherry, sing it, that has no. I gave my love chicken, that has no bone. I told my love a story that has no end. I gave my love a baby that's no cry. Everybody, how can it had no bone. The story that I love you, it has no end. And a baby, when it's sleeping, is no cry. Pretty good. I think I was here working for Alan Lomax at the library. Oh, I got to put this up a little higher. I got $15 a week and was overpaid, frankly, from Alan Lomax to listen to old records of one sort or another. He didn't have time to listen to them all. I'd do a kind of a pre-listening, and I'd put in one pile the ones that he should listen to, and the other ones he could just put in a stack somewhere. I rented a room down on the southeast 5th Street, 2nd Street. I think it was for $3 a week, as I remember, on the ground floor, and I could keep my bicycle there. I could keep my bicycle and at least once a week bicycle out to Chevy Chase, where my father and Ruth and the children were, and get a real meal. I think you should know that the Seeger family was a bunch of upper middle class people generally, doctors, some small businessmen, one rather big businessman. My grandmother's, Charlie's mother's grandfather had a whole fleet of ships that sailed out from Boston. And, she was a member of the Mayflower Society. On grandfather Seeger's side, he was the grandson of Well, he was 14 years old in a little village near Stuttgart, southeast Germany, and the son of a saddle maker, I've learned. Must have been good at reading, perhaps, at an early age. Maybe his mother taught him or somebody. At any rate, the Duke selected him to get a free education because the Duke wanted a veterinarian for his horses. But he was 14 years old in 1776, and the Declaration of Independence circulated through Europe as a truly revolutionary document. And he kept his mouth more or less shut and managed to graduate in 1787. And with that piece of paper in his hand, the diploma, he bid goodbye. He didn't even say goodbye to the Duke. He probably hitched a ride in a riverboat on the Neckar River up to the Rhine, and hitched a ride on the Rhine River up to Amsterdam, and hitched a ride on a boat to this country. You can say, I can be a doctor for your boat. Give me a ride. And married into old New England. Oh, but those days, had 14 children, but the first 3 of them died in infancy. He had actually only my great-grandfather was the only surviving male. One older brother was a mate on a ship swept overboard in a storm in the Atlantic. Another rose to be a captain of a schooner, but it was drafted into the Mexican War and caught fire off Veracruz and went down. And I have this record because they wrote down in the family Bibles who your ancestors were. And my grandfather gave my father a chart with a whole lot of circles on it, concentric circles. Names: White, Smith, Twing, Thwing. Unusual. Anybody here with a Twing in their ancestors? But I know if I walk down the streets of New Hampshire and Massachusetts, I'm liable to be passing cousins all the time. And my grandfather's father was a doctor, an abolitionist, a young man at the time the Amistad slaves were raising money to get the courts to set them free. And they won the case thanks to John Quincy Adams, old man, still in Congress. And but then he died. My great-grandfather died only at age 55 of cancer. My grandfather was only 5 years old at the time. He and his brothers had to probably deliver newspapers, get odd jobs to keep their mother able to pay the rent. The little brick house they lived in is still standing in Springfield. This old New England tradition, though, was very strong. My grandfather worked as a teller in a bank. There was no money to go to college, although some local businessmen said they wanted to pay for him to go to Harvard, and his mother drew him sort of a proud, Seekers do not accept charity. But he read in the paper that President Porfirio Diaz was welcoming American businessmen to Mexico to build up the economy. He studied Spanish with a friend, and the two of them saved up their pennies and got a boat to Veracruz and a train ticket to Mexico City, and he got a job as a reporter on a local newspaper, a weekly Financial Times, they called themselves, for the business community. And within a year, he knew where the money was. He was in business for himself. And 4 years later, was able to go back to Springfield and marry his girl who'd waited for him. And our father was born in Mexico City in 1886. They had a grand piano in the house. My grandfather could play it, but my father became quite good at it. And as a teenager, he could look at a piece of paper this big with thousands of notes on it, and as he turned the pages, listening to a symphony concert, he could tell, oh, the piccolo player missed a note. My father told me a story about one symphony conductor, though, who was conducting one of his own symphonies, and he stops in the middle of it, says, "Trombonist, that's a half note, not a dotted half note." And the trombonist said, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. It's maestro. It was a fly speck, and I misread it." So now they start from. So he stops again. "Trombonist, the fly was right." Anyway, way back there in 1939, when I was working for Alan, he teaches me a song which had been recorded at a prison farm in South Carolina. Now you have to repeat after me. One day, I was walking along, and I heard a little boy singing a song about old Long John with his long clothes on. He's Long John, he's long gone, like a turkey through the corn, with his long clothes on. He's Long John, he's long gone, he's gone, gone. Well, John had made a pair of shoes. There's the funniest shoes you ever did see. Had a heel in front and your heel behind, and you couldn't tell where that boy was a-going. He's Long John, he's long gone, like a turkey through the corn, with his long clothes on. He's Long John, he's gone, John, he's gone, gone. Oh, well, hurry up, gal, shut that door. The dogs is a-comin', and I got to go. Oh, well, 2 or 3 minutes, let me catch my wind. Oh, well, 2 or 3 minutes, I'm gone again. Hey, see, I'm Long John, he's long gone, like a turkey through the corn, with his long clothes on. He's Long John, he's long gone, he's gone, John. And you bet the song would go on for half an hour if it was a big tree. Of course, this is a chopping song. And you might be interested to know, when tape recordings had just started to be out, a professor came back from West Africa someplace, and I heard the tape, that exact same melody, note for note, of course, with African words. And this leads me to think that very possibly more than 1 or 2 songs that we assume are just old American songs, those melodies came from Africa, not England or Ireland or Germany or someplace. My own nomination would be the song which I first knew as an old spiritual and later heard new words for it during the civil rights movement. Got my hand on the gospel plow, wouldn't take nothing for my journey now. Keep your hand on that plow, hold on. And I guess you know it was Annie Devine, changed the words, keep your eyes on that prize, hold on. I confess I'm more political now than I ever was, although, as I told you yesterday, I dropped out of the Communist Party around 1950. And is there anybody here who knows somebody in Kansas? Raise your hand if you know anybody in Kansas. Oh, good. We've got at least a dozen hands. I have several dozen copies of a bumper sticker. I'm giving them away to anybody who has a friend in Kansas they can mail it to. If you want to buy copies, send it. You can send $1 up to the little. There's a nice couple in eastern Connecticut, Donnelly Colt, and they started about 40 years ago, I think, putting in their cellar a printing press that could print bumper stickers, and they printed thousands of different kinds of bumper stickers. Although this one says, "Printed in Kansas by union labor." Is there anybody here who knows the Spanish song De Colores? Oh dear. Only one person? 2, 3. Come on up here because my brain is gone. I look in fairly good condition, but you know my brain is only about 3/4 here. And when I tried to remember the words of De Colores, I couldn't remember them. So I'm counting on you to sing it. You should know, though, it's a very important song. The words are in colors, the fields are seen in spring. In colors, the little birds fly from afar. In colors, the rainbow arcs so clearly. And for this reason, these great loves of many colors please me so. I found out that right after Franco took over Spain, a bishop said, "I must show the people that the church does not always side with the rich against the poor." And he started a movement within the Catholic Church where a priest will go into a factory and get a job on the belt line. And he'll say to the person next to him, "Isn't it terrible how dirty the restrooms are?" "Yeah, you complain, you get fired." "Well, what if we all complained at once?" "Oh, that'd be a strike, we get shot." "No, the boss is not going to shoot us if we all complain at once. Pass the word. When the bell rings at noon, I'll put down my tools, you follow me, we'll all put out. He'll come out and say, "What's going on?" And we'll tell him. He's not going to fire us just because we want to clean restrooms. And it's exactly what happens. I learned this from a tall young priest in Barcelona a few years ago. He says, they put down their tools, the boss, "Hey, what's going on?" "Hey, boss, can't you clean up the restrooms?" "Oh, sure, I'll clean up the restrooms. Get to work, get to work." "Fine, boss, we get to work, you clean up the restrooms." And they all, with smiles, they pick up their tools and get to work. The priest says usually it takes a day or two before he traces it to me and I get fired. But then I got a job in another factory. And my problem is now I'm recognized all through Barcelona. I have to go to Tarragona or some other city to get a job. But now, I got a banjo here, and you all know De Colores. What's a good key for you? E is a little higher than that. De Colores.
Come right up here.
I'll put that a little lower.
I'd rather sing loud.
Oh, let's sing it like the farm workers do. Just hold the word day till everybody's in harmony. We need more harmony. We need more harmony. We need more harmony. We need more.
De colores se visten los campos en la primavera. De colores son los pajaritos que vienen de afuera.
gallo. Sings the rooster sings, the hens sing, the little chicks go pio pio pio.
Canta el gallo con el kikirikiri. La gallina con su cara, 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 cara. Los polluelos con el pío, 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 pío. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí.
Now, some of you may never have heard this song, but those who have heard it, you got to help us out. De colores son los. Give the words. No, the fields are seen in spring. Los campos en la primavera. De colores los pajaritos.
Se visten los de colores.
Yeah, just sing it. Okay, here we'll sing it.
We don't know your technique.
The reason I'm teaching you this song is because within the next 10 or 20 years, the big new thing in the world is going to be the nations of Latin America getting out from Uncle Sam's thumb. And it's going to be very interesting. And this is going to be one of the songs. Pope John let in air, and this song traveled to Latin America. I thought it was a Mexican song because Cesar Chavez made it the theme song of the California farm workers. But I was singing it in Argentina a few years ago. Oh, this is no Mexican song, and they told me the story behind it. The bishop who started this movement for priests to work wanted to have a theme song, and he didn't want to have a song which would, as they say, alarm the authorities. So he picked an old Spanish folk song, kind of like our Old MacDonald Has a Farm. Has lots of verses, and everybody knew it. But it had this verse about the rainbow arc so clearly. And multicultural North America as well as Latin America are going to spread this all around, and India and China and Africa and the Near East all going to learn songs like this. And music is going to make, if there is a human race here in 100 years, it's going to be music is one of the main reasons. You know that, don't you? Es el arco iris que vemos lucir, y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Sing it again. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. You should know that, if you don't know it already, that many times songwriters think they have written a melody and they're only remembering an old melody from years before. Mm-hmm. It happened to the man who thought he wrote Kumbaya, Come By Here, Lord. He wrote it as a slow processional. But Joe Hickerson, some 15 years ago, played me tapes. They had recordings of it sung as a very fast song. Come by here, my Lord, come by here. Oh, Lord, come by here. And similarly, great melodies, some of them could be thousands of years old, get new words put to them. I read in an English book of nursery rhymes, a little nursery rhyme, and I put a tune to it. For 30 years I thought I'd written this tune. Mm-hmm. Then I was singing a song which Frank Warner taught me. Frank Warner, who used to be head of the New York Folklore Society and was a good singer, he found a family in New Jersey that liked to sing, and he recorded their song. So this song our great-great-grandfather sang when he was in George Washington's army. And it was doodle, 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 dandy, cornstalk rum and a homemade brandy, Indian pudding and a pumpkin pie. That will make those Yankees fly. Boom, ba-da-boom, ba-da-boom, for the drum. Well, the English nursery rhyme, the reason I'm giving it, because you may know somewhere there's a baby, or 1 or 2 or 3-year-old at most, but you start walking up their leg, like you're walking through the yellow pages. Crawly, creepy, little mousey. I put this tune to it. From the barney to the house. See, you go around to the kid's back and up the back over their shoulder. In the pantry under the shelf, he found some cheese and helped himself. Nibble, 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 nibble. You might as well learn it, because if you ever find yourself in a room with a baby, this is a very nice... Crawly, creeping little mousey. Start walking up the back. Kids are like, crawly, creepy little mousey, from the barney to the housey, in the pantry under the shelf. He found some cheese and helped himself. Dibble, 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 dibble. Well, we will be all seeing each other, and later tonight there's going to be a lot of singing, and get your voices so you can sing harmony. We need basses sometimes, and we need tenors, and altos, and sopranos. And who knows, before this evening is over, we've got a big auditorium out there with several hundred more people joining us. I will see you then.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.